Today, we are going to talk about how we grew this podcast to over 50 million listens. And by the way, in the next episode, stay tuned for that one because we're going to talk about how we plan to grow it even further. And I was telling Neil, the number is actually closer to 75 million listens now. So we're very grateful for everyone. Neil, you want to start first?
Yeah, one of the things that we did, and this is the simplest one, is stay consistent. Most people ask us, hey, we're trying to get more podcast listeners. Why can't we do it? Well, the big reason is they're not producing episodes consistently. Eric and I produce episodes every single day. Sure, we record them in batches, but literally every single day, we haven't missed one day. And consistency is huge. And all of our friends who have podcasts who are consistent, they do much better by leaps and bounds, by factor of multiples versus the ones who don't.
Yeah, here's what I'll say. Sharing stories about consistency here over the years. We've been doing this podcast, I believe, for close to 5 years now. This is back when Neil lived in Vegas. It didn't matter. Like
Still
Neil
live in Vegas.
Oh yeah, still is in Vegas, but he lived in a residences on the strip before. Now he lives in a home. But I used to go into his home. I've shared this story many times. We've shared this, and it just didn't matter. Like if there's noise, we would turn the AC off in 116-degree weather and we would power through it. It just didn't matter, right? It didn't matter if I would come back from like a event, right? Like a concert, early in the morning at 5, 6 a.m. We would still do it. Like, and I would stay at Neil's place, right? It didn't matter if Neil was sick. It didn't matter if I was sick. Neil had 2 kids along the way as well. He got married as well. So we kept it going, right? And it's just a matter of consistency over the years. And many people tend to give up. They tend to give up really in the first month, the first 2 months, the first 3 months. I'm just not seeing any results. Podcasting is really hard. And it is really hard, but it's just like business as well. If you stick with it, eventually you start to figure things out. Most people just give up too easily, or most people take too much risk, take too much leverage, and then everything falls apart.
Yeah. And there's a few other things that we've done to really get our listens up. The first is partner with other podcasts. So we'll promote their episode or their podcast through ads within our own podcast, and they'll do the same vice versa. That doesn't cost us money, nor does it cost them money. More, it's a swap, and that works. And it doesn't matter what size your podcast is, you can just trade listens. So if they have 1 million listens a month and you only have 10,000, you can give them 10,000 impressions and they'll give you 10,000 impressions. That will help you get a lot more listens. Make sure you always ask people to subscribe. That helps a lot. Ask for the ratings and reviews, and also in your podcast feed, display as many episodes as they allow. Some people have it set to the last 50 or 100 episodes. The more you show, the more traffic you'll get as well.
Yeah, so I'll shed a little more context on this one as well. So we traded with Jordan Harbinger. We traded 500,000 impressions, and we want to be trading more impressions. And you can use tools out there like pod sites, for example, and they will let you trade, and you'll actually have reports. We're actually going to be moving our hosting soon, probably over to a Spotify host Megaphone. That's actually going to give us a lot more options to do trades like this. They're going to grant us access to Chartable too, where we can show demographics and things like that. So just find people that you're aligned with, and you can also make your own podcast network as well. So HubSpot has its own podcast network where they pay these podcasters, and also at the very bottom of the podcast art, it says HubSpot Podcast Network. That's helpful. The other thing too that we've started to do, and I guess we'll talk about that in the next episode, is starting to chop up this content, right? Because short form does really well, but we'll save that for the next one. And the other thing too is finding, when you interview people, finding people that are actually influential on the native platform, whether it's on podcasting or YouTube, that tends to help as well. And then just in the same vein of trading impressions, you can also buy ads too. So Jordan Harbinger spends millions on ads. We would just prefer to trade impressions. That's kind of like a form of doing ads. Your mileage may vary. And the other thing I'll say too is, for our podcast, there are a lot of interview podcasts out there. For us, for the last 5 years, we've been very consistent. I'd say 95+% of our episodes are just Neil and I riffing on things. And we just have a good relationship, so it works out that way. But, we have like 5% in our interviews. So I think what's important is zigging where other people are zagging. It's just, this is a different format. And plus it's a daily format, which most people don't do. Neil, anything else?
Nope. I think that's it. And follow what we just said, and you'll get more listens over time.
All right. That's it for today. And please don't forget to rate, review, subscribe, and we'll catch you later.